What's up, everyone? My name is JB. Welcome to Darkwing Doom. It's a brand new channel here on YouTube featuring true crime cases from all over the world. New episodes will be uploaded here on Wednesdays. Make sure you subscribe. Now, today for episode 1, I'd like to keep it pretty close to home right here in Nova Scotia, Canada. And essentially, we'll be covering the Casey Anthony / Susan Smith of Nova Scotia. Her name is Penny Boudreau, and really, guys, it's just another case of breeder's remorse. Penny Patricia Boudreau was born in 1974 in Ontario, Canada, before relocating to Nova Scotia. Lucky us. But not much is really known about her upbringing. Apparently her mom did kill herself, so it probably was shaky at best. Somewhere along the way, she met Paul Boudreau, and she actually got pregnant with Carissa in 1995. However, Paul and Penny actually broke up during the pregnancy, and in some total Jerry Springer shit, she actually ended up with Paul's brother, Shane Boudreau, who, you know, would sort of become like a father figure to Carissa. They were very, very close. And Paul Boudreau, Carissa's actual father, has admitted that Shane was actually closer to Carissa than he was. And, you know, just kind of a weird, messy situation. And that's really the first red flag for me. I mean, I've had friends who, you know, date guys sort of in the same friend group, but to date your ex's brother and you have a kid with your ex, like, that's just a whole nother level. Fucking straight people are weird. Okay, anyway, so Carissa, born in 1995. Now, she mostly lived with her mother and Shane after Paul and Penny broke up. There was a time that Carissa did go back with her father, Paul, and somewhere along the way, Penny and Shane broke up. So Penny found a new man in Bridgewater named Vernon McCumber, and that's where everything sort of seemingly went to hell. So it was 2007, November 2007, that Carissa would move in with Vernon and her mother Penny in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. And, you know, she had just moved out with from her dad, Paul, and she was like, okay, I'm going to go live with my mom. I'm going to go to a new school in Bridgewater, and we'll see what happens. Well, not good things happen, let's just say that. Apparently, you know, it was tough for her. She did not like being in the apartment. She wanted to be in a bigger house. She said there was notes left in her room just saying, you know, there's no room for my stuff. I really miss living with Shane and everything like that. So just not good times for Carissa. And there was probably some tension. I mean, apparently Penny was so madly in love with Vernon that she would bend over backwards to make him happy and just completely cater to him. So, you know, Christmas came and went, they got through it. But in January 2008, that's where we take a turn down the dark wing. So according to Penny, things were not good. So she wanted to take Carissa for a drive. She felt like, okay, well, if I take her for a drive, then she can't, you know, run. I can lock the door. She can't escape the car. She'll like basically be forced to talk to me, and we can work things out. So Penny said, we ended up stopping at a grocery store, and I wanted to go in and get a few things. Carissa normally didn't come in the grocery store with me, so she was fine. I left her in the car. And when I got out of the grocery store, she was gone. And Penny said right before she had went in, they had an argument, but it wasn't anything major. It was just normal teenage stuff. And Penny was just, you know, she couldn't believe it. She came back out of the grocery store and her kid was gone, vanished. So after a few hours, around 7:30 p.m. On January 27th, that night, Penny Boudreau finally reaches out to the police to announce or, plead with them. My daughter is missing. You guys need to help. We need to find her. The other thing too is there was a big snowstorm coming that night, and she was wearing like a light jacket and a pair of fucking Crocs on her feet. Okay, so that's red flag number 2, Mother of the Year. Why are we letting our kid out in Crocs, period, let alone in a, potential snowstorm situation? Okay, so Penny's freaking out. She can't find her kid. Police are worried as well, and they end up having a press conference after, they couldn't, they had no, leads. They couldn't find her. They had no idea what was going on. I think this one was the next day on January 29th.
We all love you. We all love Carissa. We love you. Our grandparents are looking for you. All of us are. I don't know where you are, but just come home or call or something, please. All your friends are looking for you, and we're all worried. We just want you home safe. It's not like we're going to get mad. We just want you home safe. Please.
And then a few days later, on February the 1st, 2008, there was a second press conference with another plea from Penny Boudreau.
I want to tell you that you have lots of people who love you and want you home. If not Chris herself, somebody, let me know. It's hard to not know where your kid is. I'm done.
So another week or so passes. Finally, on February 9th, a 9-year-old kid who is playing by the river, I guess, discovers toes coming out of the snow. He freaks out, finds his mom. Mom gets a hold of the police, and sure enough, just outside of Bridgewater on the LaHave River, they find Carissa's body. And this leaves the whole town both terrified and heartbroken. Oh my God, they found her body. Is there a killer on the loose? Who could have done this? Everyone was behind Penny and just feeling so bad for the whole family, and Paul as well. And, nobody knew what to think. And everybody was just crazed because there hadn't been a murder in Bridgewater for at least 20 years, sometimes in the 90s. I don't know. It was just, I remember being in Halifax, which is probably about an hour away from Bridgewater, and it was crazy, like something like that would have happened. Yes, there's murders here, but it just seemed really strange. They found her body, her pants were pulled down, and it seemed like maybe a sexual assault of some kind, but nobody knew what was going on. And this is when Paul Boudreau, the father, became very suspicious. He didn't understand Penny's story about the argument, and then going into the grocery store, and neither did the police. The police, they were trying to find suspects. They were seeing who they had in their records as far as sexual, assault cases and criminals in the area, but it just, nothing was adding up. There was no clear suspect, and it just seemed like all roads were leading back to Penny. This is when the police decided, since she wouldn't confess, they couldn't get anything out of Vernon. He was, they were both arrested and questioned, but they didn't have any evidence against them, really. So they didn't have a confession. They had nothing. So they ended up doing, it's called a Mr. Big. It's basically a sting operation where you get manipulated into confessing to whatever the police are trying to get you to confess for. So Penny ended up confessing in a hotel room to someone who she thought was like a gangsta who claimed he could, eliminate any evidence against Penny that the police might have. So I don't know, this woman, I don't know how convincing these guys are. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I'm in a hotel room and this rando gangsta is trying to get me to confess, like, I just feel like, run, bitch. Like, what are you doing? But she tells the whole story, and the cops are set up in an adjoining room. They have audio surveillance. They have video surveillance. They have it all. They have the confession. They would later go on to say that she was, you know, almost not giddy about it, and just she reenacted the whole thing. And this is where we find out that Carissa's last words were, "Mommy, don't." And what had happened was Penny had a piece of twine in her trunk that she, the real story is this is what she confessed to. Yes, they did go to the grocery store. And when she came back, Carissa was still in the car, and she got the twine out of her trunk, and they went for a drive. They ended up parking somewhere. Both got out of the car. I don't know how she would have gotten Carissa out of the car. Like, she must have said, like, "Come, I want to show you something," or I don't know. Anyway, at this point, Penny tackles her daughter, Carissa, and, you know, she ends up putting her knees on her chest, looking her right in the face, and strangling her to death with the twine. And, you know, again, Carissa's last words, "Mommy, don't." It's just so sad. And I guess Penny decided, oh, well, I'm not going to leave the body here. So she ends up putting the body back in the car, and she drives it closer to the river, and she ends up rolling her daughter's dead body that she just killed over a snowbank. And I guess she had realized, you know, oh, good, this looks good because some of her clothes have coming off, you know, while I've been dragging my kid's body around. So this way it looks like a sexual assault, and they'll have no inclination that it was me. Penny, you're fucked. You're sick. You're a psychopath, and you're ugly, and you have really bad teeth. But I digress. So from here, Vernon ends up, you know, making a plea because Penny comes out and says, well, okay, so I had to do it because Vernon told me it was either me or my daughter, that he couldn't live with both of us, and it was too much for him. And he gave me the ultimatum, so I had to do it. And the undercover gangsta sting operation, Mr. Big, said, no, Vernon had nothing to do with it. But of course, you know, his reputation was a little smeared. So he goes on the news to, like, basically try to clear up his name.
So when you were sitting beside her that day in the news conference,
I just want to tell you that
you really didn't know, you had no idea
No,
at
I
that
had
point.
no idea. I had no idea. I just believed her. I really was in love with Penny. You know, I fell in love with her, and Carissa too. I mean, she was a sweetheart. She always used to make me laugh.
Who, Carissa did?
Yes, she did. She always made me laugh. She'd hear my feet coming up the stairs. When I'd come in, she'd open the door, 11 o'clock, she'd go, boo. And I said, they took 2 years off my life, right? But she was, you know, just a kid, typical kid, you know, typical 12-year-old.
So Vernon's all good. He's cleared. No charges for him. Penny, however, gets, what they do, she pleads guilty to second-degree murder. That's what the Crown and the defense agreed on. But I don't know. It's apparently because they didn't think they could, or like the trial was too uncertain. If she pleads guilty to second degree, then she gets 20 years, and they wanted to avoid a trial, so they wouldn't traumatize the family all over. But I just feel like it's such a slam dunk trial with the confession and everything that it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't understand the second degree murder thing. So she ends up with 20 years in prison. However, she's eligible for parole in 15. Side note, Penny, as fucked up as she is, gets even more fucked up and decides to convert to Christianity. But I think it was fake. I think she's just doing it for, like, sympathy and attention, and like, oh, look at her. She loves the Bible now. She's seen her ways. Oh, Sky Daddy. No, I'm sorry. Just because you get brainwashed by some fairy tale book, and, you know, I'm super against religion of all kinds. But anyway, Penny does this. She starts wearing a cross to court, and like she She ends up getting escorted day passes multiple times a year for outings to church, which makes me sick. That's drives me crazy. She gets to go out and she gets to go to a friend's house. She gets one friend and church day passes multiple times a year. And that's insane. She should be locked in a fucking cardboard box and just thrown over a snowbank, in my opinion. But anyway, that is where we are. And, you know, she was sentenced back in, 2009. So 20 years, you know, she can get out in 15. That's coming up. Like, God help us all. Stay away from church if you didn't have any, you know, enough reason to before, I guess. All right, guys. Well, I guess the moral of today's story is don't have kids. Get a dog. Here's My Dog remix. But just kidding. You can have kids. Just don't kill them. Like, what? I don't get it. Let me know what you think in the comments of the Penny Boudreau case. As well, let me know, is there any specific cases you guys want me to cover? I'd love to hear from you, and it doesn't matter where you're from or where the case is from. I want to do it all. Once again, my name is JB. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day and stay safe.